EP14, How to Get Things Fixed, A Neighbor's Guide to Local Government on the Jersey Shore. Warm Open. Hey friends, welcome back to Heart of the Shore, a Love of Humanity podcast. Today we're talking about something that can feel intimidating until you've done it once. Local government. Not politics in the shouting match sense, not cable news drama. I mean the everyday stuff that shapes your week. The pothole that keeps eating your tire, the street light that's been out for 2 months, the rental you're in where the heat is unreliable, the park where your kids play, the senior van that helps a neighbor get to a medical appointment, the grant that helps repair an aging home so a family can stay. Local government is basically the community's shared how we take care of our place system. And here's the big message of this episode. If you can describe a problem clearly and send it to the right place, you already have the core skill to participate. So in the next 12 to 15 minutes, I want to give you a neighbor-to-neighbor guide. Who does what, how to get an answer without getting bounced around, and how some of the bigger funding streams, like federal community development money, translate into real help on the ground. And as always, we're going to keep it practical, kind, and rooted in the Jersey Shore. Segment 1. Local government is not one thing. Let's start with a quick map. When people say the government, they're usually mashing together multiple levels. Municipal government, your town, like Neptune, Asbury Park, Middletown, Freehold, Long Branch, and so on. County government, Monmouth County, Ocean County, etc. And the state, New Jersey. And each level has different responsibilities. Municipalities handle the most immediate day-to-day life services, like local streets in your neighborhood, trash and recycling rules, local police and emergency response, zoning, what can be built where, local parks, code enforcement for certain property issues. Counties often handle county roads, which are not always the same as the roads you assume are local, certain parks and larger facilities, some social services coordination, elections administration, and importantly for today, county-wide planning and community development work. The state handles statewide rules and standards, big transportation networks, state benefits programs, and oversight of things like building codes. If you've ever felt like you reported something and nothing happened, sometimes it's not that nobody cares. Sometimes it's just that you sent it to the wrong level. So one of the most effective things you can do is ask early. Is this handled by the town, the county, or the state? That question alone saves time. Segment 2. The 3 S's that make a request go somewhere. Now let's talk about how to report a problem or request a service in a way that gets traction. I call it the 3 S's. 1. Specific. 2. Situated. 3. Safe. Specific means don't just say, the road is bad. Say, there's a pothole roughly 2 feet wide near the storm drain in front of 123 Main Street in the right lane heading east. Situated means include the exact location, address, cross streets, landmarks. If you can, add a photo.
Safe means if it's dangerous, like a downed wire, a gas smell, or a flooded roadway, say so clearly and call the emergency line. Some issues shouldn't be filed as a ticket. They should be treated as urgent safety concerns. And here's a 4th bonus S, because we live in the real world. 4. Screenshots. If you submit an online form, screenshot your confirmation. If you send an email, keep it. If you call, write down who you spoke to and the time. Not because you're trying to start a fight, because you're trying to create a thread, a trail that helps the next person help you. Segment 3. Who to contact and how to avoid being bounced. So, who do you contact? Start with your municipality's website. Most towns have a Report a Problem page, a Public Works or Engineering department, and sometimes an online portal. If you can't find the right form in a minute or two, don't spiral. Here's the workaround. Call the main municipal number and ask one clean question. Who handles my specific issue, and what's the best way to submit it? You're not asking them to solve it in that moment. You're asking for the correct destination. Now, if your issue is in a bigger road, or you're not sure whose road it is, then you might need the county. Monmouth County, for example, has a Department of Public Works and Engineering, and they handle county infrastructure responsibilities. And some issues connect to state oversight. For instance, building code enforcement and construction permits involve the state code framework, but the local or regional offices are where residents often interact with the process. The point is, you don't have to be an expert in bureaucracy. You just need one reliable path to the right desk. Okay, here's the part where I want to validate something. A lot of people have had the experience of trying to get help, and it feels like no one answers. Or someone answers, but nothing changes. That can create a kind of civic burnout. So I'm going to offer a rhythm you can use, a calm persistence loop. Step 1, submit the request. Step 2, wait a reasonable amount of time. For something like a pothole, maybe a week or two unless it's a safety hazard. For something like a permit question, maybe a few business days. Step 3, follow up with the same ticket number or the same email thread, not a new message that starts over. Step 4, if you're stuck, escalate politely. This can mean asking to speak to a supervisor, copying a department head, or contacting your elected representative, council member, mayor's office, or freeholder or commissioner level, depending on the issue. Escalation is not aggression. Escalation is simply moving the question to a level that can unblock it. And here's a big tip. When you escalate, include a summary. On date, I reported issue at location. I received response. The issue is still present. Could you advise next steps? That saves people time, and time is what makes help happen. Now, I want to zoom out to something a lot of residents hear about, but don't always connect to daily life. Community development funding. You might see words like CDBG, Home, or ESG. These are not just acronyms. They are pathways.
They're ways federal and state programs turn into home repairs, affordable housing work, shelter and homelessness services, upgrades to public facilities, and services for seniors and families. In Monmouth County, there's an Office of Community Development that coordinates and monitors compliance under several federal grant programs, including the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership Program, and the Emergency Solutions Grant, and also mentions Hearth Homeless Assistance Grants. According to the county's own page, this section oversees an annual budget of more than $7.5 million in federal grants and does the reporting and planning required by HUD. They prepare multi-year planning documents and updates so those funds can keep flowing. They gather data on who is being served. They coordinate with other partners to address homelessness. That's a lot. And the reason I'm saying it in a podcast is simple. When you hear community development, you can translate it as, there is a system for getting investment into neighborhoods and services, especially for low and moderate income households. That means if you're part of a nonprofit, a faith community, a neighborhood association, or even just a group of neighbors, it's worth knowing that these structures exist, not to game them, but to participate. Segment 6. Public comment, the easiest civic action most people skip. Now, one of the most accessible ways to participate isn't running for anything. It's public comment. Public comment is simply telling the people writing plans, this is what we need. Monmouth County's Office of Community Development, for example, posts public comment periods for its Annual Action Plan, the plan that includes projects proposed for funding through programs like CDBG, Home, and ESG. Here's why that matters. If you've ever said, No one listens. Public comment is one way to put something into the official record. It doesn't guarantee your issue is fixed tomorrow, but it creates documentation. It gives staff a reference. It helps show patterns. And you don't have to write a novel. A good public comment can be 5 sentences: who you are, what you see, what you think the priority should be, and what you're asking for. Example: I'm a resident in town. Our neighborhood has recurring flooding near location. I support funding for drainage improvements and heat resilience, especially for seniors and renters. Please prioritize projects that reduce flood risk and protect residents during heat waves. That's it. Segment 7. How State Programs Connect. DCA Small Cities CDBG. Now, let's talk about a state-level piece, just so you have the big picture. The New Jersey Department of Community Affairs runs a Small Cities Community Development Block Grant program. On NJDCA's program page, the description is straightforward. It provides funds for economic development, housing rehabilitation, community revitalization, and public facilities, especially to benefit low and moderate income people, prevent or eliminate slum and blight, or address urgent local needs when no other source of funding is available. The same page notes the award period runs July 1 to June 30th. Now, most residents won't apply directly to a grant like this, but municipalities and counties do.
So why do you care? Because when a town says, "We're applying for a grant for a community center upgrade," or "We're doing a housing rehab program," there's a good chance it's connected to this ecosystem of community development funding. If you're a resident, your role can be showing up to the meeting, offering a short comment, supporting the project that benefits your neighbors, or asking how to make sure the benefit reaches the people it's intended to reach. Segment 8. A neighbor's checklist from frustration to a plan. Let's turn this into a practical checklist. If something in your community needs attention, 1. Identify the issue type. Is it a road problem, a property safety or code issue, a public facility need, a housing repair need, or a social service need? 2. Identify the likely level: town, county, or state. 3. Document it. 1 or 2 photos, a precise location, date and time. 4. Submit it through the most official channel you can find: online form, email, or phone call. 5. Track it: ticket number, email thread, or notes. 6. Follow up: calm persistence. 7. If it's bigger than one request, connect it to planning. Is there a public meeting, a public comment period, or a community development plan where your issue belongs? 8. Bring one other person. This is the secret ingredient. One request can be dismissed as a one-off. 2 or 3 neighbors saying the same thing, respectfully, becomes a signal. Segment 9. What Love of Humanity wants for you. At Love of Humanity, our mission isn't just to talk about problems, it's to help people feel less alone and more capable. Local government can feel like a locked door, but often the door isn't locked. It just has a sign you haven't seen yet. And once you learn where to knock, once you learn the language of specific, situated, safe, you don't have to be powerless. You can be steady. You can be persistent. You can be kind. And you can help shape what our shore looks like, not in theory, but in the everyday reality of streets, homes, and services. Closing. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with one neighbor, especially someone who's frustrated and feels like no one listens. Because the truth is, communities change when people realize they have a voice, and they use it. Thanks for listening to Heart of the Shore. This is Love of Humanity. We'll be back soon. And now for the sources for today's episode. Monmouth County Office of Community Development, Programs, Public Comment Dates, and Contact, and the NJDCA Small Cities CDBG Program Overview.